consideration. The price of sugar was controlled at that point of time when this judgment was given, and it was under those circumstances that said that the entire sale price was the price on which VAT was payable, or the sales tax was payable by the selling dealer. So that was the context of that judgment. But two important judgments. One of Anand Swarup Mahesh Kumar versus the Commissioner of Sales Tax in 46 STC, the Supreme Court judgment, and Bata India judgment of Bombay High Court. They have not been considered in both these judgments which have been delivered in the DDQ of Sujata as well as Nikhil Comforts. There, the point was in Anand Swarup whether there is an authorization by law to collect the tax. There it was the case of market fees being collected by the UP Trade Tax under the UP Trade Tax Act. The UP Trade Tax Act had allowed the person selling the goods to collect such tax from the buyers, and hence the Supreme Court in that case had allowed that the market fee will not be a part of the sales price and tax was not payable on market fee. Although the judgment is not directly on service tax, but that is the consideration. Then under the BST Act there is a case of Bata India. In Bata India also the point was whether, although tax is not separately collected by the selling dealer, whether there is an authority to collect the tax by the selling dealer. In Bata India it was said that there is no speaking provision for collection of tax, but there are other various provisions like forfeiture of tax, penalty, payment of service tax and the credit thereof, payment of sales tax and credit thereof. All those provisions are there under the Sales Tax Act. Considering those provisions, the tax collected, that is the BST collected in this point of time, will not form part of the sales price. Also there was Rule 46 under the BST Act, just akin to Rule 57 of the Stamp Act. There are other considerations also for this. The definition of sales price. If you see the definition of sales price, it does not include tax. Explanation 1, which includes excise and customs duty specifically, but service tax is not mentioned there. Service tax, although administered by the customs, by the excise department, does not mean that it will get automatically included in the definition of sales price. Furthermore, there is a provision under section 31B1 whereby no TDS is to be deducted on the service tax component. The TDS provisions also specifically exclude the service tax component. Very recently, circular from the CBDT under income tax that there is no TDS on the service tax as per the terms of contract. So income tax CBDT circular, a very recent circular of कर शपथ, अग्निपथ अग्निपथ अग्निपथ। ये महान दृश्य है, चल रहा मनुष्य है। ये महान दृश्य है, चल रहा मनुष्य है। अश्रु श्वेत रक्त से लथपथ, अग्निपथ अग्निपथ अग्निपथ। And that is the path that works contract is on, and we all are on. Thank you very much. I would also like to specially thank Shri Mayur Bhai for giving his full support in my writing of this paper. And last but not the least, my chairman Shri B.C. Joshi sir for guiding me on all these aspects. And to all the participants for a patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kapadia. That in any words contract, there is always a clause that time is the essence of the contract. So, friends, we should go to the group discussion, no? Group discussion. For group discussion, I am told that groups are already formed, and they are made aware about the queries also. First is Ashwin Acharya. Is he present here? अरे भाई आपको खबर नहीं पड़ती?
He is a mentor.
Oh, he is a mentor, not a leader. Very good. And who is the leader? Okay. Paliwal, great man.
Yes.
Then Mayur Bhai.
Mayur Bhai, mentor.
He is a mentor.
Mentor.
He is one of the query raiser also. Where is he? Yeah. Then Shah Dharmen.
Dharmin Shah.
Very, very good. Then we go to third. Vijay Shroff is the mentor. And R.S. Nande. Great man. Then we have group 4. Mr. Rane is the
Mentor.
mentor. Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Nagre, Suraj Nagre is a substitute for Mr. Kala Sunil. Why are you substituting? Huh? Okay. You have subcontracted. Very good. Fine. We have 45 minutes, right? We have 45 minutes to reassemble here. Numbers are already given, no? I will repeat what the queries have been given to you. Group 1 is query number 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. All are Paliwal.
मालीवाल जी का मेंटरिंग करने का मेरे को कैपेसिटी नहीं है।
पट्टा बांधने के लिए बहुत चीजें अच्छी रहती हैं।
डॉक्टर आ गया।
Rule 51 check. Now go to the we will take it.
मालीवाल any other thing आज कुछ ऐसा है।
Would it make difference the taxes both the MVAT and the service tax are separately collected and serviced by contract? We already discussed earlier.
How the transfer of the TDS credit will go to the main contract? You are trying to say that this will directly flow to the main, from the main contractor to the subcontractor, provided there is a supply by him as also a certificate issued to him. Both condition needs to be separate. एक second. Now, just because the certificate is issued in the hands of the main contractor directly does not flow back to him.
Liability is joint and several. Contract is one. Still subcontractor can claim because the supply is made by the subcontractor. So according to me, they can claim.
The next point that you raised is when you go for claiming the
Excess tax.
no, that time there are two aspects. One is collection of the tax based on my liability, and the second is computation of my tax payable. my liability as a main contractor is to pay tax on entire 10 lakhs. But my computation leads me to allow the deduction. So that does not mean that I have made an excess collection. Now that analogy cannot be implanted. What we call is rational thinking about it. But as of today, my construction of
It is the law. By law it says, as far as our law is
it
concerned.
is a deemed relationship.
Yeah.
Claim a refund, and there he will discharge the liability on the entire amount. This is not a.
See, 406, 409 is meant for was on whatever quantum in taxable sale. Thank you, sir.
बोलो
Thank you, thank you. PC,
क्या है कुछ
नहीं, PC is my PC. I'm going to make it that clear.
वेरी गुड
PC is my PC. PC is मेरा PC.
वो कंफ्यूजन है उसमें प्रणव ने क्या यूज किया है एमसी यूज किया है मेन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट यूज प्रिंसिपल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट
अभी तक मेरे पास एक PC था. बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट रहता था मेरे पास. बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट. PC. He was my Bombay High Court.
चलो ऑल द बेस्ट भाई
Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you.
वो जीएसटी लेके आओ यार, क्या है पता लगा गया
किसने पढ़ा के लेके आओ?
जीएसटी में भी यही ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होगा
नहीं, मोदी को लेके आओ,
इंटरेस्टेड प्रॉब्लम
मोदी को लेके आओ.
हमने तो
वो लेबर अच्छा है, नहीं लेबर अच्छा है, ईट वीट लगा तो उसको टेंशन नहीं है, वैट टेंशन नहीं, काम करते
एनी प्रॉब्लम
8, 9, 10 राणे साहब आए ना
और क्या बस भाई ऑल द बेस्ट लेके आए आप बहुत अच्छा हुआ अभी लाइट आ गया तो हमारा दिमाग चले You had a good discussion in the group, and in fact, I would say that the real object of RRC is to have a joint thinking 10. Dignitaries of mass and the following delegates. I am going out of the way. Ultimately, we had come for the enjoyment and to learn something more. As this residential course or the residential course, we can read in our house also, we can discuss with our colleagues also, but when the fun is there, we learn more and better way. At least I can say, because my hair is also going on day by day. But when we are living the younger generation, between from 18 onwards till of the 30, they don't like this system what we have followed here. Time is changing, we have to be changed according to the time. As I understood, because I know very senior person, our chairman, because they had a jeep, they had taken a lot of labor and they created the organization. Because they have done a lot of things for the organization. Question is that question number 8 on page number 101 for the benefit of the delegates. Whether the embed is leviable on the service tax component in the works contract, transaction in cases where the contractor is issuing the invoices as inclusive all taxes under each of the following. First of all, when there is no correction separately, when the inclusive price, whether there is service tax collected or not corrected, so how you can justify? If you go legally, it is a different issue, but in the sale invoice, there is no service tax. So answer you would ask the composition 58 and 51 table method. There is no service tax collected separately. The question is very simple. The total amount is a sale consideration. Next question here, would it make difference if the tax both the MVAT and service tax separately collected in invoice of the contract? Yes, is the difference. If you go to the section proviso 225 of the sale price, Maliban, yes, let me know. Right. You say that composition is on the full value. right? Now, whether that value includes service tax.
The point is that when there the sale invoice is not identified anything, how you know the service tax? As a chartered accountant, I know the bill. Whether the service tax collected separately or not, that is the issue before me. When the sale will say that 100 rupees, matter is over.
But the agreement will be inclusive of taxes because it is based on the agreement. The contract would say it is inclusive of taxes.
My point is,
Under the service tax, they are supposed to charge separately.
But the way the agreements are being made, they are made inclusive of all taxes.
But then under the service tax act, I think,
right.
they have got to charge separately. Then the person will not get
segment credit.
Our point is that when the contract is 100 rupees and there is a inclusive of all, how I can identify there is a service tax? When I can't identify, I can't reply. Because the question is very simple, whether the embed is leviable on the service tax component in works contract transaction in cases where the contract is issuing the invoice as inclusive all taxes. Right.
Taxes can be separated. Though it is not separately levied or calculated in the invoice itself, taxes are there. That is the.
I understood. That's I want to know. I want to know where the legal, as a chartered accountant, I will simple say, when there is a bill
where you want to work out separately. That's I'm coming. Would it be make difference if the tax both on MVAT and the service tax are separately collected in the invoice by the contract? If you go to the definition, there is expression 1, where the excise duty and the customs are collected separately. It becomes the part and parcel of the same price. By following the same system, by following is a group discussion, it comes to the same conclusion. When there is a separately charge of the service tax, it will should be excluded from the consideration for liable tax. MVAT will not be payable on that. It is a group opinion. And just simply, if you say we are right for the inclusive of tax on the same method, apply the same accordingly. Third is the whether composition amount under MVAT not collected separately is allowable in deduction. The same thing apply again. When there is no separately collected, composition amount will be payable on the total consideration. Because as far as the VAT is concerned, Rule 57(1) is applicable. As per the deduction of the service tax, there is no provision under MVAT Act or its rules. This is a group opinion, but I am presenting before the House. I am coming to the 9. On page number 105, contractor ABC gets the contract of 10 crore. Part of the said contract has been subcontracted to PQR for a sum of 4 crore, and the subcontractor undertakes to pay the tax on the subcontracted value. The subcontractor raises tax invoice on the main contractor. Contractor raises a tax invoice on the main contract, charging the tax separately. The main contractor wants to claim set-off on the invoice issued by the subcontractor. Is he eligible to claim set-off on tax invoice? This is the first question. As far as I understood or the group has discussed, it has got 2 parts. First thing, there is no denial under the MVAT Act the rules. If any purchase is made by you, you are not entitled to set off. Unless the goes of provision 52, 53 and 54. There is no bar. So, dealer can claim, the main contract can claim pre-tax purchases and claim the input credit accordingly. As far as the 233 in this situation, it will be part of purchases, input credit accordingly columns are available. As normal input credit available, we go there. As far as the 704 also, as the other input credit we are claiming on the same columns, that will go automatically on the rate of tax included. But there is a possibility because there is a Andhra Pradesh, under the Andhra Pradesh VAT Act, Supreme Court has given the judgment in NNT that the full value of the 4 crore being transferred directly to their employer. That to the extent of the 4 crore, the amount not will directly go to 233. In column 6K, deduction of subcontractor. And the same thing is go in 704, say 2 third part third, 1 bracket 0. Deduction of the subcontractors. These are the 2 opinions are there. It can be go either purchase, it can go to 4 crore. But the issue is there, difference it may come as notice is issued by the department, by the difference tax should not be collected from the contractor, main contractor. Next is 9.2 on page number 106. As per explanation 53.4 in respect of subcontract. The amendment in retrospectively should not be applied to the dealer who has completely their contract till the date according to the old provision. But nowadays we know this High Court also sanctioning the retrospective amendments and levy of interest also. Penalty at least they are not confirming so far, and we don't know the future whether they are going to become from the penalty also. This is the only reply group had said, and I just pass on to you. Item number 9.3 on the same page. Whether the provision of rules 53.6 are applicable to the works contract, whether the works contractor who transferred the property goods worth less than 50% goods contract value shall be hit by disclosure. Yes.